Banter. My name is Peter Klein. Thank you very much for tuning in today. On a game day for the Calgary Flames, we're going to be previewing what we're expecting to see tonight, take a look at a couple key players, and what could be a key position battle already getting ready for next season. If you wanted a lot more of me talking Flames over the last little bit, you certainly got it. I've been on Sportsnet 960 The Fan. I was on Friday and then back on Monday, and I'll be back again this Friday for locker cleanout day. So going to be a fun little stretch here as we wind things down on the Calgary Flames. But it is a game day for Calgary as they take on the Vancouver Canucks. That's the opposition tonight. It's the Vancouver Canucks. And some news coming out today as Eric Francis tweeting, Markstrom starts tonight in Vancouver. Optional skate with only a handful of players. Klapka and Solovyov in. Dewar and Hotyuk out. I like that we get Solovyov in the lineup tonight and Klapka. This is what this time of year is for, is figuring out where these guys fit, seeing how they handle the NHL level and getting them accustomed to things at the NHL level. But the big news out of that, I think, is Jacob Markstrom is starting in this game for Calgary. And I think this could be the last time we see Jacob Markstrom in a Flames jersey. I don't think that's hyperbolic or over sentimental or anything like that. I think that this is absolutely a player who could be and maybe should be on the move this offseason for the Flames. I think next season is kind of going to be similar to this one, and I don't think Jacob Markstrom wants to be around for that. And I do think that given how this trade deadline went down, this is going to be a player that is ready to move. The Devils, seeing how this season went and seeing, I think, a great opportunity lost, are going to want that goalie and are going to pay, I think, that premium for that goaltender to make a push into next season. So I would be very surprised if we're not seeing the final start in the Calgary Flames career of Jacob Markstrom coming up tonight against his former team, the Vancouver Canucks. A couple other things I'm watching for from this game: the continued experiment of Connor Zary at center. He has been fine. He's getting kind of worked in the faceoff dot a little bit, but so did Sean Monahan in the first part of his career. I think for the Flames, it's to see what he can do, and it's to get him comfortable there. I don't think the plan going forward is lock this kid in at center, but I do think that it gives them the flexibility that if he has to for a game or two, he is comfortable, or maybe you do just have him there as your center. I think having that kind of flexibility is a bit advantageous for Calgary, and having that ability to just be able to, okay, well, we can move this guy to center, we can play things around, having that flexibility. That's the word I'm looking for. I was thinking variety. That's not it. Having that flexibility in the lineup is something that this Flames team is going to be able to take advantage of next season. When you can have Sharon Govich, Zary, Backlund, Kadri all down the middle next season, that's something you feel pretty good about in a Western Conference dominated by strong center play. It's not like, oh, wow, watch out, rest of the league, we got these four guys, but it's four guys that you're comfortable playing in those spots, and just understanding those responsibilities helps. And I think he's been fine in there. He hasn't been, again, face-off dot, he's been whatever, but he's still contributing offensively. That line is still going, and so you feel comfortable with it, I think, going forward. Starting to see a few signs that Matt Coronado is ready to break out. You feel really good about what he did against Arizona, where he was looking like confident Matt Coronado again. That shot is lethal. If he would have passed on that 2-on-1, I would have benched him for the rest of the season. That's hyperbole, for the record. But I do think that this is a kid who has, I don't want to say game-breaking ability by any stretch of the imagination. That's a lot to put on a kid who hasn't shown it so far. But he has a shot that can be a game changer. He has an offensive sense that can be a game changer. And so I think when you're looking at players to improve going into next year, he is very high on that list. He was awesome in training camp. And it sucks that he hasn't been able to put it together throughout this season, but you feel really good about where he is at right now. In terms of some of the offensive progression that we are seeing, it's just a matter of putting it together more consistently and playing with a little bit more of that confidence. And if he can get that back, then you really do feel good about where things are going. I'm just looking to see more from Miramanov tonight. I have liked what I've seen from this guy so far, and we'll talk about the blue line coming up at the end of the show here, but I think that he has worked his way into discussion of being just an everyday member of this blue line into next year. I think there's going to be a lot of competition for that spot, but I think he is above and beyond the guys are going to be competing for next year. On the Canucks side, they are going to be determined tonight. I believe they can wrap up the Pacific. Both them and Edmonton have 2 games left, and Vancouver is 3 points up. So I'm assuming they can wrap the Pacific Division up with a win in this game tonight. They do get Thatcher Demko back, which is huge for Vancouver because DeSmith and Silovs, I think his name is, neither of them have played all that well. So getting that goalie back and getting him some reps here before the real bullets start flying in the postseason is going to be massive for them. I do not think this will be a successful outing for the Flames, which is fine because that whole team tank thing, it hasn't gone well this last week for Calgary. When we look at the inverse standings, if you will, for the National Hockey League, Calgary currently sitting, let's just sort this the other way. Calgary is sitting in 24th spot, which means 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 teams ahead of them, so they are in 8th right now. Had they lost these last couple, they'd be down at 75 points. A loss would have meant Arizona would be up at 77 points, so they would be in a spot to be getting a top 5 pick. And so when you are looking in those senses, a loss here probably isn't the worst thing in the world. Looking at it here, they can still get leapfrogged by no one, actually. And honestly, winning a couple could move them a couple spots ahead. The Devils are done at 81 points. The Flames are still possible to get 83, so they could move above the Kraken and above the Devils, which would be kind of devastating for the old lottery lots. It's all gonna come. It's all gonna come down to the ping pong balls for this team at the draft lottery, and then we'll be able to go from there. But this is not how Team Tank thought things would go. Those were a couple real losable games on the weekend, and it didn't quite work out. One guy who tried in a couple of them, Dustin Wolf. It is a weird conversation to have around this guy right now because I have said before, I get very frustrated that every start and every save and every goal is a referendum on whether this kid can play in the NHL. There is no question in my mind he should be in the NHL next season. Full time, 100%. Should he get 60 games? Probably not. But 45? Sure. I'm fine with 45. I would roll with that. He, the first goal of the game against Arizona shouldn't happen. He was out of position, and as I said on 960, he was covering more of the back of the net than he was the front of it. And the puck can only go into the front of it. That's how the rules work. So that kind of stuff needs to get improved. He is obviously incredibly athletic, and he makes some amazing saves with his ability to go post to post. But sometimes he goes post to post and then beyond the post, and then the puck goes on by the other post, and then it's in the back of the net. And Croner made a good point when we were talking about it on 960 this week. He was like, he didn't allow those AHL goals at the AHL, but now he's allowing some of them at the NHL level. And so I do think that he'll be able to iron that out with experience. But look, it has not looked great at times. And I think it's okay to acknowledge it hasn't looked great at times, but also he should be the starting goalie next season or getting a lot of the starting looks going into next season. I think both those things should be true. See what you have in this guy. I would trade Markstrom. And if you're rolling with Vladar and Wolf next season, then you're rolling with Vladar and Wolf next season, and you are A-okay with that. But I like the thought that, okay, this kid isn't it because of 10 games and a weird end of the season. I just simply don't believe that's true. The defense has been atrocious in front of the kid. And has he let in some that you would like for him to not? Yeah, 100%. And he's going to have to work on that. But he's not going to be able to work on that at the AHL level. And I still think that he is a talent that if you give on it now, you could live to regret it for a very, very long time. So again, 2 things can be true. 1, Wolf is struggling more than I'd like. 2, he's going to be and should be the goalie for next season for the Flames. The other big conversation around this team right now, and it just won't go away because he keeps putting up big games, is what do you do with Andrei Kuzmenko? I am not at a point where I'm saying, yeah, give him 8 years and just lock him in and let it roll. But I am at a point where I would not trade him next season. I think that when he is good, he is still that type of a explosive electric talent that you need to start putting wins together. And we talked about this last week. Is he the best player on a championship team? No, he is not. But if let's just say, hypothetically, if the Flames won the draft lottery, he's probably playing with Celebrini, right? Like, he is the type of guy who you put, when you get that game breaker, you put him with that guy, and they make the most out of each other, right? So it's not just going to be 6 first overall picks on your top 6, and then 6 plugs in the bottom, and you go from there. You're going to need these type of complementary players, and I think Sharon Govich and I think Kuzmenko both fit in there perfectly. If you wanted to give Kuz a 2-year extension coming off of this, or like off of next year, or a 1-year extension even off of next season, no problem with me. Absolutely none. And then you can see, like, because next year you'll be able to explain off, it's a contract year. So I if it were me, contract extension, and then you can see. Don't make it such a long extension that it is then unmovable, but you can see, how does this guy handle it consistently? 82 games throughout a season when there isn't a carrot at the end, or he's not coming to a new team to try to show out or anything like that. Let's see what this guy actually does consistently for 82 games. Because with the Canucks, they thought it was expendable, and they were probably right, given how things were going out there, even though he had 39 the year before. But this is now a team that I just don't think can be giving up on talent that is that high, at that high of a level. And going into next year, I think the interesting conversation, or one of them, is going to be around the blue line. And right now, I think you can lock in Anderson and Weegar. I am 99% sure they'll get something done with Oliver Shillington, and so there you have 3. After that, it is a long list of potential players who could come up. And we're seeing one tonight in Solovyov. Kuznetsov we've seen a little bit as well. I think this lack of development year for Poirier is going to set him back a year. So maybe this time next year we're talking about Poirier coming in. But still, Brustowicz is going to be battling for a spot. Like, you have a lot of guys who are going to be working for these spots. And when you look at the defensemen who are here right now, I think one has obviously stood out above the rest, and that's Daniil Miramanov. Getting some time on the power play, some pretty good offensive instincts. There are times where maybe he's a little bit too excited to get in on the offensive side of things, and he'll blow the zone when he's supposed to be, defending, and that becomes a bit of a problem. But I think there is enough there that you feel comfortable saying this guy's going to be on the NHL roster next season. And when we're looking at these competitions for who's going to play, I think he is above. And the other ones, like Ahochuk, has not looked great. He would be toward the bottom of my list, if I'm being perfectly honest with you. Pahal, his skating is tremendous. After that, yeah, he's just kind of there. And I think Hanley is a really fine number 7 defenseman for this group. But I do think Miramanov has worked his way into a spot where he will at least have a head start on everyone when that massive training camp battle starts next season. All right, that's going to do it for the show. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Follow me on social media, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. I'm at Primetime Klein, twitch.tv/PrimetimePK. And you can email this show, couchpotatodiary@yahoo.com. Up on the channel right now, we have Couch Potato Diary getting ready for the NHL playoffs and the NBA playoffs, with some UFC and AEW in there as well. We have a Catlin Autocast talking about the Blue Jays getting ready for their game tonight against the Bronx Bombers. Coming up tomorrow, we're going to have grades handed out on Toronto Raptors players. Plus, we're going to continue to get ready postseason and all of that. Next week is going to be the last of the weekly Blasty Banters for the season. We'll probably throw in a few off-season ones, quite a few off-season ones, getting ready for the draft, getting ready for free agency, any big trades and stuff like that. But this is the penultimate Blasty Banter of the season. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and I will talk to all of you later.